Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back. It's been a couple of weeks. Thanks for bearing with me while I got through my move. If there are any sorts of audio issues in this video, that's because I'm still getting things set up, but I think everything should be just about as it always has been. Today is the last episode of our first season for the Pathfinder 2E Grand Tournament. Last week we had our Magus and Animist win, so I'm moving them up here into the winning roster. This week we are going to be spinning our wheel, selecting 2 teams of 2 at random, and then they will duel to the death to find out who moves on to the next round of the tournament. I am also a little bit sick, so excuse me if my voice is coarse. At any rate, walking through the basic rules of this tournament, every character is level 2, and I have given each of them the Battle Medicine skill feat, as well as access to any equipment that they might desire. And because I'm not using consumables, spellcasters gain 1 singular additional cast of any spell they have prepared, just so that they can kind of keep up with the fact that they would have scrolls at this point in the game. I also pancake initiative so that Team 1, for example, does not take 2 turns in a row and just immediately win the fight. And because this is our last week here and we'll be putting in 4 combatants, but there are 5 classes left, I do just want to say outright, the class that does not fight today is going to get a free pass on to Season 2. It's not fair, but that is what it is. This is for fun. These fights are unbalanced and not a proper showcase of what these classes are capable of, particularly spellcasters who specialize more in versatility and doing things out of combat. But with all that out of the way, let's get started assembling our teams for this finale here. And excuse me if I talk a little less. My sore throat, I want to try and preserve it as much as I can. Alrighty, so our first combatant here on Team 1 is going to be our monk. Our monk is Finnan Fox. Finnan Fox is a Colo monk who utilizes Rushing Goat Stance, as well as the Crunch Ancestry feats to be able to grapple with his mouth. Rushing Goat allows you to deal D8 bludgeoning damage with a forceful, non-lethal shove, unarmed. And when you make a ramming horn attack and your previous action was to climb, stride, or leap, so any sort of like a large movement, you gain a circumstance bonus to damage equal to the number of weapon damage dice. He also has the Crushing Grab ability, so that whenever he successfully grapples a creature, he deals bludgeoning damage to that creature equal to his strength modifier. And finally, Slippery Prey to be a little bit more adept at escaping grapples. So his playstyle is going to be sort of getting in, grappling someone down with his jaws, and then ramming them repeatedly. Let's see who he's going to be paired with here. As our list gets smaller and smaller, you can start kind of rooting for particulars. Looks like our monk is going to be paired up with the commander, which is very interesting. The commander is currently a playtest class in the upcoming Battle Cry book. We have Endless Legend, the commander, a human laborer using a gizarm with a banner tied around it. That is a unique mechanic of the commander here. As well as wearing some splint mail. The commander kind of is based around their tactics that they can call out. Endless Legend here has End It and Strike Hard prepared. End It if you and your allies currently outnumber enemies on the battlefield. and you or a squad mate have reduced an enemy to 0 hit points since the start of your last turn, then as a 2-action ability, you signal all of your squad mates affected by your commander's banner. You and each ally can step directly towards a hostile creature you're observing as a free action, and any hostile creatures within 10 feet of you or a squad mate after this movement need to make a will save or become fleeing. Or frightened on a critical failure. Additionally, the strike hard tactic here, another 2-action ability. Just choose a squad mate who can see or hear your signal, and they immediately can strike as a reaction. Additionally, commanders have the ability in here somewhere. It might be a level 3 ability. Oh no, there it is. Drilled reactions, where once per round when you use a tactic, one ally of your choice benefiting from that tactic gains an extra reaction just for that tactic. So our monk here won't have to burn his own reactions. Endless Legend also has the lengthy deceptive tactics commander feat, so that he can use warfare lore to create a diversion or feint, and rapid assessment, so that when he rolls initiative, he can attempt to recall knowledge against a creature he's observing. Alrighty. And now let's roll up our team 2 and get right into things. Our first combatant on team 2 is going to be our Swashbuckler. Our Swashbuckler is over here. QSY complains a lot. They are an android swashbuckler with a rapier and a star knife, plus some leather armor. They specialize in the fencing style of swashbuckling, which means that when you create a diversion or feint, that action gains the bravado trait, giving them the ability to gain their panache very easily. They also have the flashy dodge feat, where when a creature you can see targets you with an attack, as long as you aren't encumbered, you use a reaction to gain a +2 circumstance bonus to AC. And if the strike misses, you gain panache until the end of your next turn, so you can get some extra damage in. And Flying Blade. This allows you to apply your precise strike damage on range strikes you make with a thrown weapon, as long as you're within the first range increment, and it is agile or finesse. As well as make finishers with those same weapons. So that'll be this star knife here, being able to throw it up to 20 feet for a finisher, doing some additional or more consistent damage. And let's see who our Swashbuckler is going to be paired up with. It's either the Rogue or the Sorcerer. And it looks like it's going to be our Rogue. Our Sorcerer will be moving on automatically to our second round here. So I'll move them up. Katabura, you move on to Season 2. And here on Team 2, we will have Doodle Dip, the Rogue. This is a halfling rogue wielding a rapier with a bladed gauntlet and a short bow, as well as a buckler on the arm. They are a thief rogue, so they get to add dexterity to their damage on finesse melee weapons or finesse melee unarmed attacks. And they have the normal rogue sneak attack and surprise attack, as well as intuitive cooperation, so that they can aid easier and be aided easier. Class feats, they took Twin Feint, as long as they are wielding 2 melee weapons, each in a different hand, which would be the bladed gauntlet on the left and the rapier in the right. They can spend 2 actions to make 1 strike with each weapon against the same target, and the target is automatically off guard against the second attack. They also have the nimble dodge feat, which is the exact same as the swashbuckler. As a reaction, you gain a +2 circumstance bonus to AC against an attack. Alrighty. So with that, we're going to switch these 2 over to the opposition side so that automation is properly implemented. And we are going to get this combat started. Create the combat encounter, add everyone to it, and roll for initiative. Let's see which team is going to be going first. Alrighty. It looks like QSY Complains a Lot won our initiative bouts, so Team 1 will be going first, or Team 2 will be going first. Then Fin1 the Monk goes second, Doodle Dip the Rogue will go third, and Endless Legend the Commander will go fourth. We're going to begin this encounter here, although Endless Legend's feat for Rapid Assessment is going to give him check to recall knowledge automatically at the start of combat here. Looking at a sort of lightly garbed, thin combatant over here with a rapier and a star knife, whereas down here Doodle Dip is a shorter, stouter combatant wielding a gauntlet and holding a short bow. I think he's going to recall knowledge against Doodle Dip here. Oh, and I rolled for the wrong person, so there we go. With a result of 19, and I'm going to set the DC to be 18 for the adjustment for specific lore, because Warfare is all about tactics. He's trying to figure out the tactics of Doodle Dip here. That'll turn into a success. He's gonna ask, or he's gonna try and recall if Doodle Dip is more of sort of like a supporting figure. And with a success, he's going to find that Doodle Dip is currently sort of armed to provide backline support with a bow, but can get really in there with melee attacks because of the Twin Feint ability. That's what will be displayed to Endless Legends team here. Now, as for our first actual turn in this combat, QSY Complains a Lot wants to get in quickly and take advantage of dealing some damage, but also wants to be able to maintain this range advantage that their party currently has, because the monk is unarmed and the commander here only has the Guzarm. So QSY Complains a Lot. In a normal combat, I would have this character delay, but given that in this circumstance I'm playing against myself here, I'm going to say no delaying is allowed, and instead QSY Complains a Lot is going to stride up to here and then spend 2 actions readying. And what will be readied is if someone moves into range to attack them, they are going to stride back to here. Alrighty. And that will end their turn, and we'll move on to Finon Fox, the monk, who is going to assume the rushing goat stance and stride in towards our swashbuckler here, who then will use their reaction to step back like so. And this leaves Fin1 Monk with 1 action left and no range to do anything. So they are going to stride up this way. And that will end their turn. We'll move over to Dwoodledip here then, who is going to utilize the demoralize action against Finland Fox here. A success will cause him to become frightened 1 as Dwoodledip readies their short bow here and shoots off a shot, which will miss. And then Dwoodledip, knocking another arrow, is going to use their last action to attempt to aid QSY Complains a Lot's next attack by sort of like aiming an arrow to try and distract someone. And as the GM, I would allow that using, I'd say, either deception or diplomacy. Not an attack roll, unfortunately, because there is no attack being fired. Move on to Endless Legend then here, who is going to simply move in, and with no ability to utilize any of these tactics, we'll move in. Unfortunately, there's no better way to move actually than just straight here. So the 1 stride action, a 2nd stride action to get down below here, and then a strike against QSY Complains a Lot, who does not have their reaction anymore for flashy dodge. Alrighty. Oh, and this commander's banner should be flying. Here we go. Alrighty. A strike against QSY Complains a Lot will hit and deal 5 damage. And end Endless Legend's turn here. QSY Complains a Lot is going to go ahead and step in towards the commander here. Attempt a check to feint, which will unfortunately fail, but that still grants panache until the end of QSY's next turn. So their last action here will be to take a confident finisher against Endless Legend. Oh, and a critical hit. When combined with the precise strike damage and the deadly D8 from the rapier, Endless Legend will be knocked all the way down to 1 singular hit point. Just an excellent display here of how dangerous critical hits and swashbucklers can be. And that'll also remove panache here. Alrighty, so that's QSY's turn. And we'll move over to Finland Fox, who is seeing what's going on down here. Going to stride down to here. Use Battle Medicine on Endless Legend, healing for 5 hit points. And then with Finland Fox's last action, just a simple flurry of blows. Striking twice at QSY Complains a Lot. The first attack will be a critical miss because of flashy dodge, which gives QSY panache. And then a follow-up attack from Finland Fox here will also critically miss because of a natural 1. Alrighty. At the end of Finland Fox's turn, that frighten goes down to 0. And Dwoodledip is going to get to take their turn. seeing the situation down here, they are going to dart around the back of Endless Legend here. And attempt a feint with the Bladed Gauntlet. I also did forget Doodle Dip's ready to action before, but it would not have mattered. A feint would actually make Endless Legend off guard, and Endless Legend is already off guard. So Doodle Dip, rather than feinting, will instead just go straight for a Bladed Gauntlet attack here, which hits and deals 7 damage, which is enough to bring Endless Legend down. And with no other ways to get them back into the fight, Endless Legend is gone. It is not looking good for our monk here. Our rogue has one more action left, which they will use to fire off an arrow at this monk. But that will, unfortunately for them, miss. Move on to QSY Complains a Lot, utilizing that panache from the successful flashy dodge to simply attempt a confident finisher here against Finland Fox. That will miss, but still deal 4 damage because of the confident finisher portion of it. And with that, QSY Complains a Lot spends that panache and then has 2 actions remaining. Their first will be let's see. I'll say they're simply going to attempt a demoralize action, which will succeed and frighten Finland Fox. And then they are going to stride down here. Finland Fox then is going to stride up, take a flurry of blows. And strike twice at QSY Complains a Lot. Having seen the devastating impact of those critical hits, bringing them down seems like the appropriate situation, or appropriate choice. Even with the flashy dodge, Finland Fox's first attack hits and deals 10 damage, but let's see. The second attack misses, unfortunately. And QSY will simply take 10, bringing them down to bloodied. Finland Fox's last action then will be to simply back off from the fight. Ready. With that, Doodle Dip here is going to attempt Battle Medicine on QSY Complains a Lot. That'll be a success, healing for 14. If only the commander had gotten that many hit points. And then firing off a couple of arrows from their short bow. A critical hit, dealing 14, is going to take Finland Fox down to bloodied. And a follow-up arrow just behind it notches in for another 5. Finland Fox is not looking good at all. QSY Complains a Lot is going to attempt to close this up, striding in, feinting, which will succeed, granting them panache and making Finland Fox off guard. And then a confident finisher with their last action will miss but still do 5 damage. And Finland Fox remains standing here. And let's see. Finland Fox making a flurry of blows here against QSY Complains a Lot. We'll hit for 10 and hit for... Oh, I forgot the reaction. That first attack that dealt 10 would actually have missed because QSY would have used the flashy dodge feature. Which means that they gain panache. The second attack does still hit though, and deal 11 damage. There we go. Finland Fox here with 2 actions left at maximum multiple attack penalty. Attempt to battle medicine themselves. An unfortunate failure. Oops, there's my music. An unfortunate failure. And with the last action, we'll simply attempt to make as much distance as possible. Move on here to Doodle Dip, who is still just within range. And so we'll simply launch a volley of arrows past QSY's shoulder as they dart in. A hit dealing 4 damage on the first arrow will be enough to bring Finland Fox down. And that concludes our fight for this week here, as our Rogue and Swashbuckler defeat our Monk and Commander in the tournament due to a couple of lucky critical hits. And we'll be seeing them in the future. Thanks everyone for watching. Leave a like if you liked the video, subscribe if you would like to see more, and I will see you all in the next one. Good to be back. Thanks for bearing with me. See ya. See ya. And here are our current tournament outcomes. All of the fights displayed on screen currently, as well as their victors and who is moving on to Season 2. Get excited for it. I know that I certainly am. And with that, we're going to segue into our coffee supporters here, our channel supporters. Thank you to Streggy, Taran, Phoenix FH, Kizo, and Max Magnus 20,019 for your support on the channel, donating at the few bucks support monthly tier. It means a lot to me that you would do this for me, and particularly with the 2 weeks I took off, I don't take it for granted. Thank you so much. And I'll see you in the next one.